Hey everybody, welcome back to my second video this week I'm going to do. And again, because I'm expecting it to actually be short, that's the reason why I chose to do two on this one. And this one's probably going to be about a subject a lot of people aren't going to care about as much, so I don't expect it to get almost any views, if any at all. And that's about how ABC decided to deal with the Trump impeachment trial and General Hospital. Now, when the trial initially started, yes, they interrupted General Hospital for it. And it made sense that they would. Because, yes, this actually does matter, as it is a major historical event, despite how it may look like it's not. But over time, they started doing this thing where, oh, we're going to air the trial this week, but it's only going to interrupt until General Hospital. It won't interrupt the People's Court. It won't interrupt Maury, which I see as a mistake. That you're not going to interrupt those two shows, but you'll interrupt the GMA afternoon with Strahan, Sarah, and Kiki, or Strahan, Kiki, and I think it's Sarah's her name, and General Hospital for it, because that makes a lot of sense. To interrupt a show that actually gets you ratings, whereas the other two shows are only watched by people mainly because it's what's on when they get home or because there's nothing else on. That's not getting you ratings, and that's not proving you're better than another network. That's just proving that anything can sell that way. With General Hospital, you people had ratings. You've seen it for 60 years. Or at least since, I'm sorry, you haven't seen it for 60 years. You've seen it since the 1960s and 70s, how this show has done. So yeah, actually, I guess it would be 60 years. I might have that wrong on the exact date, but still, you guys have run this show and seen that it is popular among older people, younger people, all different races, but yet you'd rather interrupt that with something that people aren't really caring about now because, sadly, the president has pretty much admitted in his own words that he did something wrong. But Congress wants to draw this out. But they're wanting to draw this out. The people in charge of the trial want to draw this out. I'm thinking that it's starting to look like they're worried more about not having to work than they are about actually doing a real trial. Because the thing about not wanting to do not wanting to have the witnesses makes it look like you don't care about rules and procedure because, oh, we got these witnesses that can testify to this. How reliable are the witnesses? If they're so unreliable, why not have them get on the stand where they're sworn or swearing under oath to tell you this truth, and you're going to be able to actually destroy them on the stand to where people wouldn't want to believe them anymore. And one of the big things that came up was this guy in his book where he talks about how Trump did know about this and how others knew about this, and they told him not to follow these rules and ignore this when it came to certain situations. Well, if this guy's lying, why are you guys trying so hard to make sure that his book and his testimony don't get allowed? Yeah, getting ahead of it is one thing, but you guys are pretty much making it look like people need to go out and buy this book. Because there's an old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. You guys are creating so much smoke, it looks like you're burning down the forest with this. You might as well just get the person on the stand, get their credibility proven either good or bad and use it against them, if it's possible. In the book, you said what was said in the book was only used to sell copies. If that's true, then why are you trying so hard to work against the book? Most people probably wouldn't have cared for the book as much if you hadn't put forth so much effort. But anyways, one thing they could do in order to help the ratings, especially on ABC, because if you notice, Days of Our Lives and Young and the Restless seem to be loved by their fans still. And GH, while it has loyal followers, are angry with the network. Why? Because you think it's better to interrupt a show that many people watch to show this, despite the fact that you've seen, according to your ratings, whenever the president's impeachment trial came on the network and aired during General Hospital, the ratings for the show dropped severely. They didn't just take like a 1 or 2 point leap. We're talking like a nosedive here. But you guys want to run it still. And instead of airing General Hospital at its normal time, when people are actually going to watch it, you're going to run it at 3 in the morning and expect people to be like, oh, hey, you know what? I want to record this, even though I'm not going to be up then. And that's for the previous day's episode. That's not the following days. So, basically, they're working to miss 2 episodes for 1. The people who are up at 3 a.m. are either night owls or people getting ready to go to work. So either they're going to bed and they're not going to want to watch TV, or they're getting ready for work and they're going to care more for what the weather's like outside on their way to work or on their way home than they are for what's going to be on TV at that time. So you're not really helping yourselves in the ratings there. Also, you make a big deal about, oh, you're the station covering this. I've been on YouTube and I've been on other internet outlet spaces where what are they doing? They're showing the key moments that people care about in this trial. Like, oh, this is what was said. Okay. And this is why it was said and what it was said in answer to. So if we have that, what's the point behind us having to watch it on TV live? You're not doing people any favors. What you're doing is just causing more damage to your network. And it looks like you're trying to kill a show rather than help yourselves. Also, with your rating timer, you said in the little ticker space the little ticker that runs below the screen, it runs on the bottom of the screen, that you wanted people, in order to allow them to see the show, you're going to run it at 3 a.m. That they should set their recorders for this. And to me, this is a mistake. Not because you're wanting to warn people that you're going to put it on at this time, but because you're choosing to put this on rather than running the impeachment trial from 12 to 4, which would be actually a good time to run that. Because if there's anybody up that's actually going to care for it, that would be the time for it. During the day, they're not going to care as much. Okay. Also, an afternoon airing of General Hospital is watched by most people that watch the show. This was one reason why SoapNet was such a good idea. Because the president could have interrupted the day's show and been on there, and you would have had this other network, the Soap Network, to catch the show on when it aired. Or it could have been on later that day and you would have caught it. It didn't have to be messed up because, oh, the president screwed us over in some way where we couldn't air this episode. So we have to wait for a very long time to see it. Yes, a lot of SoapNet did the same thing, that if the president or somebody interrupted the actual show, they wouldn't air the episode that day. They'd air a previous episode. But there were times where the interruptions that came on during the day weren't important enough to be like severe, and so they would push it to where this episode would air on SoapNet and you could catch it. And this, in turn, actually made it look like the networks were working together, which promoted a community where people could come together and be happy at the shows they were watching. The only other option that you're actually leaving people is to be up at 3 a.m. just to watch a show. And as much as I'm up during that time, because I'm a night owl, so I'm up at that time anyways. But for those people who aren't up at that time, and let's say they don't have a recorder of some type before that, I mean, to watch the show on, you're telling them to get up at 3 a.m. to watch a show they enjoy, or miss it because, they may have to work, or they're just really tired at that time. That could actually harm your viewership and send them running to another network to want to watch it. So I ask that you actually reconsider your thing and instead have the show run at its normal time. And instead of interrupting it, let YouTube and the other outlets deal with the presidential impeachment trial as it's going, and only hit the key moments if it's absolutely necessary that we hear them. Because this trial has admitted many things to it, and even when the president had things reworded for him, he still managed to admit to criminal activities without trying. Go back and look at his speech. And I hate to tell him, his idea of using the words infection, infestation, and invasion, as I said in the very first video I did, him using those three words to describe people doesn't show that he's a caring person. It actually makes him more guilty of the crimes he's accused of. Also, if memory serves, the two countries we put those tariffs on were both countries that refused Trump recently in a deal he wanted. If my memory is actually right, and that's actually true, then Trump is guilty of taking his seat of power and using it to to put a vendetta against people who turned him down. Which makes him look petty, which in turn, because of him being the president, makes us as a nation look petty and cruel. So he's not doing us any favors if my memory is actually serving correctly. Also, the thing with the Ukraine, according to him, it's a misunderstanding and that he was only holding out in order for some noble reason in his mind. But the evidence all supports the claim that he was holding the money because the Ukraine was refusing to look into running into an opponent in the upcoming election for him. And that is pettiness. And also proves, again, he's scared. Because if he's having to use his power, and it qualifies under legal means, as I've seen multiple places actually use this word in admission with it, if what he was doing is actually the way I see it, it qualifies as extortion. Because he told the Ukraine he would not give them the money until they agreed to do this to do this look into Joe Biden, and if they didn't, he was going to withhold the money. That's extortion. Because they didn't get an option, and they needed that money. So they were left with no other option. So it could actually qualify as coercion, if I remember law correctly, for that as well. Also, this country, Russia, which we don't seem to have a problem with, that he was holding money against the Ukraine, is the one who invaded them not long after he did that. And notice after a little bit of an invasion, suddenly Ukraine wanted to help him with the looking into. Yeah, that doesn't make it seem like they were doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. That makes it look like they were doing it because they were concerned for their safety. The man did nothing. And this impeachment trial is basically made soap operas look like reality compared to what they've been putting on as a show. And I'm sorry, but if anything's going to go like that, they really need to consider a new wave. And they shouldn't interrupt General Hospital if they're going to put on something like this that makes more of a show out of it, out of law procedures. And I know what I'm saying may sound harsh, but it's the way I see it. They're not showing anything that's actually being. I've seen more procedure, or what appears to be procedure, followed on TV shows than during this election, and seen what qualifies during this trial. Anyways, this was the second of my video, and again, with Trump, this is what ABC had planned, was to put Trump on during the regular hours, and during the times it interrupts, General Hospital gets moved to 3 a.m. the following morning to be seen. And to me, that's a mistake that they shouldn't be making. Because they're putting something that their own ratings they've seen, apparently. Because ABC even noted that during the impeachment trial, during the time General Hospital would normally be on, the ratings have dropped. And if you notice, it's because when they would do that, whenever the trial was going on, it overran General Hospital, so therefore, nobody really cared. So you're killing the show that was helping with your ratings. But again, these are my personal opinions. Feel free to leave a comment on what you think. And we'll see if I come up with a third video this week, or if this is going to be the second video I did, and it just happened to be two of them. Because it was dealing with two separate things. First one being the Super Bowl 54 champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, and then this one with ABC and how they're dealing with the impeachment trial and General Hospital.